Hello, my name is Tilly. I'm a qualified dog behaviourist, and welcome to this episode of Dogs Can Smell Your Intentions. So let's go to the first kind of topic, which is more about can dogs smell your intentions? Can they smell your emotions? And this leads to, can dogs sense if someone's suspicious and all that lot, and a bit of voodoo or whatever. But I'm just going to clarify it and put it into kind of real life terms. So basically, most animals know your intentions just through body language, even though they're a different animal. Because we use a lot of verbal language with our words, um, we're not necessarily picking up on body languages of other animals. A lot of us can see it in people, and we will get a kind of strong gut reaction if somebody is acting the wrong way. But again, because we rely so heavily on verbal, we often ignore that and we'll just go along with it. But actually, your gut reaction knows what it's seeing firsthand. But we have definitely lost most of our ability to watch other animals' behaviour instinctively. We've now got to relearn it. But other animals, where they don't have this verbal stuff getting in the way, they can see it naturally, right? So a lot of it is body language. But dogs in particular really can smell your emotions. It's fascinating. Um, the way a dog's nose works, or really how, I'm not going to go into kind of the cells and everything like that, but just to clarify how sensitive it is, how incredible it is, you've got to kind of put it on the same kind of level of when a shark can smell a drop of blood from miles away. That's the same kind of level for dogs. When we smell something like bread, they smell all the ingredients, so they're smelling it all separately, if you like. So they can smell the yeast, what flour they used, if they used any seeds, what oil they used. For us and other animals, they can smell how old they are. They can smell their kind of sexual prime, their gender, what they've eaten, are they sick? They can smell all of these things, and it's really hard to describe when you don't, me as well, we don't have this sense. It's like trying to describe colours to something that can't see colours. You can't describe it if you can't see it. So this is me doing my best to describe how dogs smell things. Their smell is their sight. It is so powerful. They can see almost as well as us anyway, so we can't really take that away. They can see a lot less colours, but visually they can see nearly as well as us, right? Our eyes are pretty rubbish, really. It's birds that have the amazing eyes. But a dog's nose, we cannot discredit it, and it means a lot. As we kind of enjoy art and stuff, and we're quite visual, dogs, the scent means something to them. Who smells strongest in the house, who's got the most testosterone in the house, who, it goes on actions and behavior as well, but the scent will do a lot of these things. They can smell cancer, and they can be trained to smell out different types of drugs, etc., etc. So you've got to understand just how powerful a dog's nose is, that it isn't some kind of magical, mystical sci-fi thing when I say they can smell your emotions. Every time we have emotions for our type of animal, it releases in our sweat glands, particularly our armpits, also our groin. If you've got a very sensitive nose, like I have, because I'm autistic, it might just go hand in hand with something else, but that's what I'm going with, then you'll be able to smell different people's emotions too. You might not know what they mean, but you'll be able to smell it. So TMI, when I'm really scared, like I'm in danger of my life, which actually is most days because I've got high anxiety, but no, when I think I'm scared, so it could be I'm with a dangerous dog without a muzzle, that will really frighten me. I've got a weird phobia about being in a car at the moment, someone else is driving, but say someone's driving too fast around bends and I think we're going to die, that will terrify me. And my sweat under my armpits changes. It literally smells sour. It just changes. So I can smell it. I'm not obviously as in tune as a dog, but I can smell the difference anyway. But dogs can smell it as, a whole range of emotions: anger, sadness, intentions, things like that. But it is because it is coming out of your armpits. And you can mask a bit of it with deodorant for them and things like that, but because they're so sensitive, it's just very likely that they are able to smell both at the same time. And this is why, as a dog trainer or as an owner, when you're working with your dog, you have to be really calm and really neutral, really neutral. You shouldn't work with a dog when you're angry anyway, because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to refer to punishment, and depending on what your punishing is, and this is, I'm a positive trainer, but this is whether you're going kind of prong and e-collar, you're going to overuse it. So you shouldn't work with anything with anger anyway. But it's just not the qualities that a dog wants from you to trust you. They want a really stable, neutral person. And if you think about, if you've met good leaders in the past in the human sphere, maybe a boss, but in particular, it's more like things like the army, where it really matters, really. The best leaders are just cool as a cucumber. They're very direct and they give you clear instructions, but they're not angry with you. And likewise, they're not scared or sad. There's just no emotion. And that's how you need to be with your dog when you're training. I mean, we're all human, we're all animals. We all have different feelings and things like that. But it's just really important to know you can't mask it. You can't pretend something. You can't come in and take your nervous dog out and just pretend you're not nervous if you're a nervous person. Your dog knows you're nervous, and your body language will show this as well, but he will smell whether you're nervous or calm or whatever. It is something that you do have to get into the mindset of no emotion. Whatever happens, just accept it. Yes, your dog's probably going to bark, maybe someone will look at you, just accept it and just move through your day. And likewise with any kind of anger and frustration, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is not a helpful emotion. If anything's going wrong, the best thing really is to come away from it without really doing anything to your dog or with your dog, and just get more knowledge on it. If you're ever unsure of anything, there is so much knowledge out there. I would always personally steer you towards positive things, and there are so many positive books out there. In fact, my favourite one is Positive Perspectives. There you are. If you want one book that goes through so many dog problems, and it's really obvious, really easy to follow, and it works, because we base our whole program on a lot of books, but that's the main one. I do like that one. That's my favourite. So that's really what I wanted to kind of get going, that's a lot of where it comes from. When dogs can smell your intentions, whatever, that's where it comes from. They can literally smell the changes in your hormones of what's happening to you internally, physically and emotionally, because your emotions change all your hormones, and release different chemicals, which is kind of weird if you didn't realize that. But yeah, that's what happens. The second thing that I really wanted to put the point across is, now I don't know if this is coming out as a smell particularly, but it does seem to affect training, and that is your actual intentions. And I don't mean like bad intentions. I mean, again, if you plan on like hurting a dog, or if you've ever tried to catch a wild animal, they know you want to catch them, right? That could be body language. I'm not really talking about something that obvious. I'm talking about, I'll give an example. It's best to give an example of this, and I'll try and round it off after. I work a lot with dogs with phobias. In particular, one of my specialties is getting dogs into cars. So they won't get into a car, they won't jump into the car, they're very scared of the car. And it doesn't matter when they're in there or not. They could be barking, or they could be shut down, or whatever. But the point is, getting them into the car is something that I am exceptionally good at, and I have a step-by-step way of doing it to make it easy. I've been doing this for 10 years, really. This one, it's a rare one, but it does crop up. The only time I have never got a dog into the car was when the owners turned around and they said, well, we can't get her into the car and we're going away in 3 days, so we need to get her in the car. And it was like, wow, because that goes against like all my training programs. Is I'll arrive and I will show you what to do, and then it's your job to do it, and it takes as long as it takes, and you can't pressurize a dog, and don't give me a time limit, and that's not how we work. Anyway, that was the only time when it really mattered. I could not get this dog into the car. I mean, it was a bit of a difficult setup. It was a Labrador, and typically Labradors have very bad joint problems. All right, it doesn't matter how old they are, especially if they're a show line, they'll almost always have some form of dysplasia happening now, because the genetics are horrendous. This is as of 2026, if it's a few years, but yes, it's horrendous. So usually what I do with labs is I get them into the side of the car anyway, and then if people need them in the boot, I will just put the back seat down. So it's just easier for them to get into, because jumping into a car, if you're a heavy Labrador, is painful. And that's why they're saying no. They're saying no. They're not athletic. They're not good at agility. They can't jump into the back of a car. They need step, step, step. And ramps do freak them out, which is what I was working with. They just had this kind of clumsy ramp rocking around, and this poor dog was really like, no. And I was like, no, but we have to, because you're going away and blah blah blah, and this is all I've got to do in this session. But normally the headspace I go in with is very much like, I don't know if we'll get in the car today. That's not important. What I'm doing right now is I've brought a step with me, and I'm getting your dog used to going up and down the step in your house. And then I will open the door of your car, and I'm getting your dog used to walking past it. So I'm never in my head thinking I've got to get this dog in the car, ever. And it works so well. And I follow all the steps, and the dogs just fly through it. They fly through it. And, you know, at some point they will get a bit twitchy about something, but never in my head am I like, you know, we've got to go through the next step now and get you in. I just repeat. So once they're used to the step, which takes about 2 minutes, then I just have them going up and down the step next to the car. I never have them like, right, you can do the step, now do the step in the car. It's like, right, step next to the car. Then I'll have them reaching into the usually the back seat to grab a treat. So they're getting used to coming in and out and things like that. And, you know, loose lead, no pressure, it's all done by them. If they walk away and they've had enough and they walk away, that's what they're allowed to do. But they don't get any treats walking away. And I'm using like chicken and cheese and the best. So by the end of it, they're in the car and we have a little drive around. But that's not what I start with in my head. And I had the same thing working with a greyhound that wouldn't leave the front door. So he just shut down. I think a car backfired a few days before, and they kept trying. And greyhounds are about 35 kilo. They are heavy. So he just lay down. And it's right that they didn't push him, because it's stressful. That's not what we do. So we started on the back door, because he was a bit, again, wouldn't go out the back door very fast. So we started that, did really well. And then we just started down the corridor. So in my head, I'm like, we're not going out. We're just going to get to the front door. And at some point I'll open the front door and you can have a look. And we just did that. We ended up getting not only out the front door into the drive for the majority of the time, we actually ended up crossing the road and onto the green the other side, just in one session. And they'd had days of where he would not even go through that front door. And again, it has to be a very much no pressure on the lead. We're just standing observing. I don't really like them running away. I don't really let that happen. But if they are doing that too much, then it means that we've come too far. That's all. So sometimes they'll be happily walking along, like this dog was. He seemed to forget himself at one point, and he was happily going down the back door to the road, and I stopped him, because I knew if a car came past, it was quite the moment, if a car came past and we were suddenly at the road and he'd forgotten, that would freak him out. So I stopped him. This also gets into the dog's habit, just a deviation, but if you're controlling the dog, they're more likely to do as you ask later. And that goes for everything. So it's like, no, I'm not letting you go that way, even though you want to, and even though you appear confident, you have to come back now. Which kind of gives me more kudos for, yeah, we're going forwards again. It's just something, you know, I'm more intelligent than the dog. I am aware of the noise of the traffic, and it had been raining, which makes it louder, and etc. And I know what's going to happen. So it's my job to say, right, shutting the doors now. That's not going on. But this is just how it went. You know, the only problem we had was that we were taking everything slowly and one step at a time, which was really good. The only trouble that I had was when we came to the road. So it was kind of front door, drive, brick drive, road, which was narrow, just a country lane road. So, you know, fairly narrow, and then green on the other side with a hedge. So that was kind of narrow as well. It wasn't like green and then space where we could just potentially run away. You were still right next to the road, and his fear was noise. So what I had trouble with was when we got to the road, I couldn't take it step by step because it's dangerous. We had to just run across the road really fast. And that's the only thing that really kind of made the program more difficult, because really he would have liked to go halfway and stop for a bit, meander, or turn round. I couldn't let that happen because it just wasn't safe. So we either had to go just on the edge of the road and back, or we had to go through across the whole thing, you know. And then another problem that we had, just while we're on the subject, when we got to the other side of the road, we then had cars coming backwards and forwards, and there was no kind of safe place for him. There was nowhere for me to put him. We just had to kind of stand there and tolerate it, which he did, but it did freak him out at first because we couldn't, you're meant to layer it up, and we're in the deep end, and we're stuck in the deep end now. And again, I don't really like them running home, because when they run home for something, and it will just feed that anxiety. They're meant to walk home calmly, or as calmly as you can, not pulling. That just feeds anxiety. All it says to the dog is like, we're running home because it must be really awful. And you're just putting that in their brain and making that pathway stronger. We've got to walk slowly because there is no danger. That's what it says. If you walk slowly, there's no danger. If your dog is running home and you're letting them run home, it's because there's danger. That's just how the brain works. One equals the other, right? So that was the only thing that was difficult, which I don't really have with the car. We can just layer it out. If a dog's kind of panicking, they can just, shoot out. The doors are open. It's all open. It's not trapped. It's not like, right, you've got to go from one to 10 now. Everything step by step. And because in my head I had, when we hit that road, we've got to go across it, that made him faulty as well. Like, that was a bit like, oh, I'm worried about that. That's when I could see him putting in the brakes. Not necessarily because I'd done it, but I was thinking it. The first bit was easy, because all I thought was, I'm going to do this step 100 times and this step 100 times. As soon as I was like, oh, there's a road, we've got to get across that, that's when he started refusing and trying to turn round and being a bit skittish, a bit like a spooky horse. And that's why I'm doing this, really, because it just really brought it to my attention. And then it made me remember all the car jobs. And then when that car job went wrong, and thought literally the only difference was that they needed this dog in the car to go on holiday. I have no idea if they managed to do it or not, but like I said, that's not my fault, because that's not what you do. You plan ahead, right? You get your trainer in months before you do something. I have this problem at Christmas. The family's coming and the dog bites people, and we've got a few weeks. It's like, that's not enough time. You need to have started this. As soon as you see a problem, fix it, is my advice. As soon as you see a problem, fix it. Dogs don't grow out of problems. They don't grow out of them. You have to tell them not to. If you tell them not to, like they're chewing, and you tell them, no, chew this, no, chew this, no, chew this, then they will grow out of it. But they'll only grow out of it because you told them to, really. That makes sense. It's not oh, my dog's barking at everything, I'll grow out of it. It's not like that. You are the person to stop the habits. They are just habits that form. And once they're formed, they're really hard to unpick. They pop up a lot when the dogs are young. They pop up all the time in various ways. But it's like whack-a-mole. You've got to squash them down. No. Do this. Redirect. This is better. As soon as they learn something's fun, like chewing, they'll do it all the time. It doesn't matter then what you give them, because it's like, well, this gave me peace when I needed it, and this is what I'm going to do. My brain has learned that this is rewarding, even if you've given me the same thing, because I did this first, and I did this for a very long time. So you need to stop things immediately before they become a problem. Fear and things takes a lot of building, but again, don't be like, oh, I've got a holiday coming up and the dog's scared of cars, I'll start the day before. Don't do that. Just start now. Just please make everyone's life easier and just start now. But that's basically what I mean with the intention. So if you have a dog that's scared of something, I don't really care what it is. It could be a wheelie bin, it could be traffic, it could be getting in a car. And when I say scared, I mean it's kind of different when they're scared and going forwards. So scared and going forwards, a lot of dogs bite because they're scared. You treat that a bit differently. You need to stop them going forwards first, right? So that's different. If something's going forwards, or chasing cars because it's scared of cars, which is common, you'd be surprised, but that is a legitimate reason. You need to stop them going forwards first. It's two separate problems, or almost. You've got to apply it like it's two separate problems. I stop the dog first, and then I deal with the phobia. So when you've got a dog running away from things, this is how you deal with it. It's step by step, and you need to have in your head, okay, the dog's scared of the wheelie bin. Well, maybe today we'll just go a few steps towards it and go back to the house, and we'll repeat that 10 times and then see where we are. That's, you don't want to think in your head, right, dog's scared of the wheelie bin, I want to, by the end of this session, in your head, I've no idea how other owners deal with training sessions, but that really is how you're meant to see it, as a training session. I want to, by the end of the session, drag the wheelie bin along in one hand and have the dog's lead in the other. That's not, if you have that in your head, the dog will stop. It'll put the brakes on. Same with a car. I'm going to drive an hour today. That's going to be the end of my session. No, think of the end of your session as the dog's just looking into the car or getting treats off the back seat while tentatively like leaning forwards. And the thing is with dogs and cars as well is what happens is they freeze, and that freezing motion makes it physically impossible for them to jump, because dogs that jump need to be relaxed and happy and animated and excited. Dogs that are freezing and shutting down cannot jump. So you do have to bear that in mind. And they get really unbalanced as well. So they all tense up. Everything's unbalanced for them, so they can't physically do these things. It's just all things to kind of bear in mind. This is why it's good to have a very good trainer with you, because they can see these little things going on that are hindering. And it's not just it is a step-by-step process, but you've got to be aware of all the little fundamentals, like your thoughts and your emotions, as well as the physical things that you spot, like, oh, the dog's like frozen up. How can he possibly jump into a car when he's completely frozen like that and tense? That doesn't make sense. You've got to notice everything. I think, again, this is the autistic brain coming out. I do tend to notice everything. Information feeds to me all the time, and it's exhausting, but it's very good for spotting problems, fortunately. But yeah, that's basically what I mean. I'm going to do one more example because it's just come to me now. Actually, it was a bit of a sad one. So, greyhound Sky, my old greyhound, she would follow me anywhere. She didn't really have much of a brain, so she would follow me into really silly situations, including through like seeing nettles or rough terrain, or if we were in a group and we split up, she would just come with me. So I'm coming with Tilly. Tilly knows the way. And often I didn't. It's like, no, now we're in the bog. Now we're in some brambles. She followed me blindly. And it really became apparent when I got my other dog, who very much is like, follows kind of the strongest leader. So she would still follow me. But if it was like, no, that looks dangerous, actually, she'd just go around. I've seen her go around a whole 1 acre field and meet me somewhere else just to avoid stuff like nettles. She looks at them and she's like, no, Tilly, you're nuts. I'm not, I'm intelligent enough not to follow you. I'll meet you somewhere. I'll meet you over there. I'll see you in a bit, So it really told me the difference between the two dogs. One's a greyhound, one's a Romanian street dog, village dog. So that's just, so we're talking about Sky. So that's Sky. Sky follows me everywhere. Oh, the day I had to put her down, and I did plan it. I gave her some really strong drugs for a few days so that we could say goodbye to everyone. And she was pain-free in those days, but this has to happen. Open the front door. I don't use leads. Front door, even though there's a little road. I don't use leads. I haven't needed leads for years because I train them just to stay with me and not be excited and not react. So I just usually open the door. Both dogs come with me. I open the car and they jump in. And the Romanian dog is scared of cars, and she still jumps in without a lead. She, because that's how well trained she is. She's still scared of the car after 11 years, but she will still do as I say because I've said do it, right? So they usually just follow me, and I open this front door and I walked out, and Sky, she came out the front door, and then she just swerved around like a spooking horse and just ran back inside. She just ran back inside. She's never, ever, ever done that. She knew it was coming. It was so sad because there's no way an animal can comprehend end of life or anything like that, or like, I gave her no reason not to trust me. She'd followed me outside every single day for years, on walks and going to the park and whatever. But that day she span round, and Malcolm was there actually in the door, and he blocked her, and I had to put her on a lead and get her in the car. It was really sad. It was really awful, and I wasn't in control of my emotions. I was feeling that deep, gut-wrenching sadness. And my plan wasn't to go straight to the vet, so I was taking both dogs out for a final walk. So we're having a final walk, gave us some chocolates obviously, and then headed to the vet. So it wasn't even the next thing that was happening, but she just knew and just was like, I don't want to go. Oh God, it was so awful. But that's what I mean. Be very careful about your plans and your way of thinking and what you're doing with a dog. So this will translate in things like if you're worried your dog's going to be attacked, or you're worried your dog's going to attack another dog, and you've got these images floating in your mind of, we're going to go there and there's that guy that I always run into, and what if that German Shepherd's there and it's off the lead. These things are filtering into your dog. There is like the thought of what is it called? Is it SNP or something? Visualization with animals. Animals can read your mind type of thing. I haven't done a lot of research on that. That was more that I was into as a child, so I've kind of brushed that away. But who knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe they can see, if you're really connected with your animal, maybe they can see the pictures that you are sending. But please don't think of these things. If you need to plan something, like that guy with his annoying dogs always there at 11 o'clock, that's fair enough. Go at 12, right? That's fair enough. But once it's gone, it's gone. Do not dwell on these things. If you're actively training, do not think of your last step for your dog and put pressure on them. Think of all the other steps. If you are actively worrying about stuff, those thoughts need shutting down. You need to start taking control of them, which we can do. We are people. It's hard at first, but it gets easier, like everything. It's just a muscle. You need to start rethinking of your walks and stop seeing danger everywhere. Planning is different. Planning is all about knowing or believing things that could go wrong, and then you plan against them. Worrying is about things that you cannot plan or cannot predict, and thus you haven't come up with a plan. It's just your brain is trying to help you. It is trying to help you out, but anxiety is when it just goes into overdrive, right? And nothing makes sense anymore. But whether your dog's on lead or off lead, all of this is filtering down to your dog, especially if you've got a sensitive dog like the old breeds, or an emotionally intelligent dog, or a village dog that relies on others to keep them safe. Village dogs, almost all village dogs' top priority, for example, as a breed, is safety. So if you've got this anxiety of this field, this person could be here, in this field, this person, and should I do this or should I do that? Just have your plan. Just have your plan. Okay, don't think of anything else. And most things you can't stop anyway. And the thing is, with animals, stuff always goes wrong. This is the problem. If you like animals and you have anxiety, stuff always goes wrong. It will never go smoothly. You cannot predict them. You cannot predict other people. You cannot predict the environment. Most of the time it actually goes right. But I mean, I personally have some crazy stories with my pets. I've had everything from snakes to horses, right? So there's always some horror story that's going on about the littlest thing that went wrong. It turned into some massive mountain, and I couldn't have predicted it. So there was no backup plan, and you just had to deal with it at the time. And then it never happens again, or if it happens again, it never happens the same way anyway. So anxiety, when it becomes chronic, is useless. You have to believe this to let it go. You have to believe it to let it go, otherwise it will stay there. Planning for stuff that you are 99% certain will happen. Like I do have this guy, Flicker attracts a lot of attention because she's meek and mild, and dogs tend to act a bit differently with her. They want to bully her. Unfortunately, when they get closer to her, they realise they can't bully her because she explodes like a firework. So his dog laid down, and I was like, oh, here we go. So, I'd seen him before, and I chose to walk past him. I could have gone the other way. But I thought, it might be fine. Let's go past. As I got there, and there was now no exit. I'm on fence and farmer's field. I thought, well, I'm just going to have to catch it. That's so that's what I'm visualizing, and I did. It came up, I grabbed it by the collar, I blocked it, and then I do this kind of thing where I say I throw it away. I kind of threw it back towards its owner. There we go. And I kind of push Flicker in front of me. So Flicker's behind me, I grab it, and then we do this circle where I throw the dog behind me and Flicker goes in front, and I'm constantly blocking, and we move on. That's it. If they follow, I tend to go and shoo them away again, and that's that. Now, because he does go at the same time every day, I will just go along the path that's adjacent. It's very simple. I don't need to think about it a million times. I'm just going to go next to it because that's the safest route for us, because I don't want to be catching dogs every 5 minutes. It's annoying. But that's what I mean. I don't want to be thinking the whole thing, is that guy going to be there? And what if he pops up somewhere else? And your instincts in the moment, once you've done it a few times, are usually quite good. So let that go. And anxiety is not helping you. But that's all I mean. So intention, hormones, thoughts, they all affect your dog, basically. Your dog does know what's going on. They are more attuned than we give them credit for these things. And it's just important to have the right thoughts and feelings in your mind and your heart when you're with your animals. You've been listening to Tilly the Dog Behaviourist from Fawn Dog. For our full list of services, please go to fawndog121dogtraining.co.uk. We do home visits and telephone consultations now too. Videos can be found on our Instagram, TikTok and Facebook page, And I've just started a new podcast which goes deep and personal into the home visits that I do. And this is all about the specifics. So it's not general programs, it's why use what technique for what particular dog, their age and breed, personality, all comes into it. So go and check that out. It's subscriber only, but it's only $3 a month. Thanks for listening.